welcome to the Clashing of Steel. And today I am the guy who runs. I'm the guy who's being forced. I mean, I am playing Miltiades, so I have somewhat excellent chances of escaping many locations, many areas. But my big problem probably is that I'm spreading myself too widely. I mean, this is a huge area actually. It would require 2 players minimum to seal it off. And I don't think the horsemen are kinda up for that task. I would prefer infantry. I mean, I don't mind fighting against Germanicus and his swordsmen. I don't mind fighting against cavalry. I mean, cavalry probably minds fighting against me. As much as I don't mind the current situation because, well, I could handle these guys easily. I could get out their vengeance and just deal with them. I could seal off bottlenecks and make it harder for them, and, well, I could make it work, basically. And also kinda baiting them. Oh, the Pila, they're gonna throw it at me. Bloody bastards. I mean, the Pila probably would not be that bad, but, well, heavy Pila is kind of a nasty thing. Well, if that would have been light Pila, it would have been nothing. Like wind against the wall. And of course, I'm being also hit by the catapult, which is also nice. But that's not my problem. My problem are the big fat elephants. And another problem, of course, the cavalry, because if I run away from the elephants and cavalry gets a drop on me, seeing as it is Alexander, it would be really bad. But instead, I'm going to use phalanx and hopefully avoid as much damage as I can. I mean, elephant is gonna wreck me, there is no doubt about it. He seems to micromanage it and he seems to use it to walk into me and then attack me. Which is the way it should actually be used. If you use it like an imbecile and send it to attack a unit, that is the very wrong way. But that is also how way too many players play it. This is also the ideal situation for the elephants. They have infantry nearby. All the support they need is right next to them. I mean, we could have countered that single elephant easily. I could have just held the ground. We could have dealt with it so fast. But the big problem is that our javelin player went with the huge mass of other players. Meaning that there were basically 2 players left to defend this area against 3 players and an elephant. As I said, I would not mind dealing with the infantry or cavalry. But, well, even in outnumbered situations, I probably could deal with them in certain locations. I would use like this bottleneck here. But when I'm being thrown a tank at me, basically, it's not like something I can deal with. So, javelins, preferably in every match where there are elephants, should try and focus the elephants, because otherwise, something like this will most likely happen. You're being forced out of your preferred locations, you are being forced out of key locations where you should be. I mean, I would not mind throwing my soldiers, my commander, everything away. Just if everyone else would know what to do, if they would go fully offense and go for the capture, defend everyone capturing inside. That could work. But instead, I am in a predicament where I'm being forced, our team's trying to force, well, as it appears they should be able to defend themselves, but apparently they fight for the scoreboard and not for the victory. So, we are in a horrible situation. Opponents have basically pushed their way to our base. We don't have anything to counter them, any ranged units that could actually even make a little difference. Preferably javelins, catapults, archers, anything. But instead, we are just left to deal with this location. Just to delay them, I'm gonna make a last stand with this unit here. Oh, and the boy doesn't know how to charge. I would have had nothing against him if he would have charged into my phalanx. But it's just funny to see how they mess up their own charges. Personally, the phalanx actually kinda counters the charge anyway, so what's not to like? I'm telling you, I could have held against the swordsman easily. Even now they're trying to just push through me, and come on, this is a wide bottleneck, they should be able to. I mean, this option is feasible as long as the elephant does not notice me and does not deal with me. Actually, it's kinda getting unpleasant because they're trying to get on my sides. And well, this was to be expected, although I would have expected it a wee bit sooner. I mean, elephants, they can be great units, they can be horrible units. If you don't know how to play them, they'll be easily countered. If you do know how to play them, they can matter a lot. And if you don't have, like I had, anyone to defend you, anyone to support you against elephants, they're gonna be a horrible unit you just cannot deal with and are forced to run. I mean, I'm quite sure I could have held these two infantry players at bay quite easily. Maybe even if they would come at me at the same time. But elephants just change the dynamic so much that I can't deal with this situation. I don't think that even archers or javelins could change the dynamic this heavily. Well, maybe javelins could. Javelins are something that can turn a steady fight into a slaughter. Well, I can't do anything else than just defend this base, in hopes of that we will get control of whatever is going on at the opposing base. I know I'm going to die here. I mean, there is no doubt about it. My main focus is just to do as much decapping as I can. That is my focus. That way, even if I lose, I'll earn at least some score. I'll be useful to some extent. I directly don't think that going offense was a wrong move for my team. But we could have used some more units to deal with this side. Could have used one more player who could have been sort of a harasser, like Vercingetorix, pikemen, archers, anything, who could like use force and harass opponents. But instead it was me and two players with horsemen. That is not a good combo to send against elephants and two players of swordsmen. Although I would consider this swordsman inferior, the elephants just unbalance it enough for me to be nearly useless. So for me the match is pretty much over. I'm just gonna die here in a few seconds. Javelins are almost dead as well. Our horsemen are, well, still slightly fighting, slightly roaming about. But we have basically lost. This could have actually been a victory. If we would have not maybe gone that much offense, well, that is debatable because it seemed that they had enough to deal with everything here. But apparently they couldn't defend the javelins, which should have been their key focus. I don't exactly know what was going on here, because I was focusing heavily on my front. I was focusing on decapping opponents. But originally, as I saw, they had two swordsman players and a player of javelins there, at least, if nothing else. So my assumption would say that they should have boxed in the javelins. Javelins could have weakened any opponents, and they could have defended and sat out the rest of the engagement easily in that box, inside the opposing base. Another option would have been to stay defensive, because seeing as opponents were pushing so heavily, that with defense and the proper awareness, javelins could have been here, helped us to deal with the elephants, and we could have easily taken down the swordsmen. Well, sadly, all is lost, and mostly thanks to the elephants. I mean, as I said, they can be incredible weapons when used with support from infantry or cavalry, in which way they kinda were used. I mean, they did take damage, but considering how much damage they inflicted or can inflict while they're being supported by other infantry, that is just ridiculous. But okay, let's head over to the scoreboard. These guys are gonna die in a matter of seconds. Well, I did at least somewhat good. I'm the third player in my team, but most of it thanks to the capture. I tried to fight against the elephants, who were just, well, they got mostly capture points. They did disrupt me a lot. But mostly I'm guessing I was fighting the top Germanicus player in the opposing team and the worst Germanicus player in the opposing team. And they both earned quite good scores, to be honest. And both of those scores are mostly around base capture. This match was such a capture fest. What probably bothers me the most is that we had two javelin players and there wasn't even a single one near my location. Not even the light artillery, which I would have gladly defended because at least it can do something against the elephants and weaken even the infantry. But instead I had two horsemen player, two cavalry players, who probably could have been used elsewhere. I mean, I wouldn't mind one cavalry player. He can scout, he can harass, he can just look around. He can keep vision, he can sometimes maybe flank or pull attention away. But what should I do with two? When I'm facing a bunch of infantry and a lot of huge fat elephants. I mean, if we take a look at both of these teams, I'd say my team has a rather good chance to be very viable, very offensive, considering that the opponents don't have any long-ranged units. We have slingers, javelins, light artillery. But instead, we got players who played on their impulses, and that is never good for the team. It is never easy if you're pushed out of your preferred locations, but this is often what can happen. With this spearmen, it was just one of the plainest examples how elephants can just force you out. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.